Canon PowerShot G7X Mark Roman III Review. The PowerShot G7X Mark Roman III faces some strong competition from the likes of Sony and Panasonic. But with a longer than usual lens, great handling, and a whole suite of niceties for videographers, it succeeds in offering enough to warrant its place in a populated section of the market. The PowerShot G7X Mark Roman III takes the baton from its G7X Mark Roman II predecessor, arriving with a fresh 20.1 MP, 1-inch sensor, a newer Digic 8 processing engine, and the ability to capture images at up to 30 with its new raw burst shooting mode. With previous G7X models proving a smash among vloggers, it's no surprise that the most significant changes concern video recording. So, on top of what we had previously, Canon has shoehorned in 4K UHD recording, together with a 3.5 mic input and EVA streaming to YouTube. Elsewhere, the camera packs the same lens as before, with a 24-100 range in 35 terms, a flip-up LCD screen, and 4 physical control dials around the body. Wi-Fi and NFC both feature, as does the option to charge the 265-shot battery through the camera's USB-C port. The Canon PowerShot G7X Mark Roman III is amateur videographers as a strong focus, with a raft of new video-specific functions helping to boost its appeal among that audience. It is, however, also a camera that's very much targeted towards the enthusiast photographer who demands a certain level of image quality and a high degree of control over operation. Unless video is your thing, there's probably not enough here to warrant anyone upgrading from the existing G7X Mark Roman II, although G7X users would see a considerable difference between the Mark Roman III and that model. Enthusiast compact cameras have come some way since Canon's PowerShot G7X was launched back in 2014. That model, together with its G7X Mark Roman II successor, was initially aimed at photographers looking to travel light without compromising on image quality, although both cameras came to be well regarded by amateur videographers too. Compact cameras of this kind can often be tricky to handle, but Canon has done a stellar job of ensuring that the PowerShot G7X Mark Roman III strikes a fine balance between usability and portability. The defined grip provides a more secure hold than would otherwise be the case, while the liberal use of rubber around the body makes the camera feel safe and comfortable in the hand. While most of the physical controls appear to be made from polycarbonate rather than metal, build quality and attention to detail overall are high. The previous PowerShot G7X and G7X Mark Roman II were respected for their image quality, and with a fresh sensor, we should expect the standard to be at least as good here. The lens hasn't changed, which is good in a sense, as it covers a decent focal range by the standards of most 1-inch sensor cameras, and has a very respectable maximum aperture. It can, however, be a little soft at either extreme. This is less noticeable when the subject is less detailed and relatively close to the camera, but more distant and complex subjects highlight the slight inconsistencies through the range. Video quality is also generally good. Not quite as crisp as some of the results we've seen elsewhere from 1-inch sensor cameras, but certainly detailed enough for everyday use. There's a little rolling shutter when moving around, and some wind noise can be picked up by the built-in mics when you are shooting outside. But this isn't unusual for such a camera. The G7X Mark Roman II was a compact and well-liked camera, one that presented a handful of key improvements over the previous G7 model, and the Canon PowerShot G7X Mark Roman III improves things even further with stronger video specs, speed-related enhancements, and a handful of further tweaks. While it falls behind some of its Sony RX10 series rivals in a few areas, the lack of an EVF, and its more basic AF system, for example, features like the 30th raw burst mode and in-camera raw processing show it to have a few advantages too.